Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Shannon McCabe Show. As always, just want to take a second to thank you guys for being here. I'm really just blown away at how much traction the podcast has got and just, man, I think 7 months, 7 or 8 months. I don't even know. I can't keep up with how fast it's growing. All the great messages I get from you guys, those of you taking time to leave reviews. I think last time I checked this week, we have been listened to in almost 50 countries already. We're at 48 or 49. Downloads are climbing, and you guys, this means the world to me. Not because I need or want those numbers, but because that just means that we are part of something that is so big and so special and so meaningful, because there are people everywhere, all over the world, that are taking sobriety seriously for whatever reason. Like maybe you came or you're trying to quit drinking for a health reason. Maybe you have had a scary rock bottom and you're trying to be happy or more empowered about something that you maybe feel like you have to do. Maybe it's just the awareness where, the truth about alcohol is finally coming out. We have more information than ever that there is no safe or healthy amount of alcohol, right? Even one sip of it is bad for us. And we're learning all the ways we've been misled about the truth about alcohol, the ways we've actually just been lied to by the alcohol industry for decades. Knowing that this podcast is reaching so many people, I hope just helps you feel less alone and helps you know that you're a part of something meaningful and important and special. And so if you do feel kind of isolated on your sober journey, maybe you don't have people in your real life that get it yet. Maybe you don't have anybody else around you physically that is supporting you or that is going on their own sober journey. I hope that you know that there are so many of us out there. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for leaving ratings if you have, because that just helps more people find the podcast. That helps more people that are doing this and are feeling scared and isolated find us and find this community and know that they don't have to be any of those things. They don't have to do this alone. They don't have to feel unprepared. They don't have to just white knuckle it and wing it and hope for the best. We can actually feel empowered. We can do things every day to build our belief in ourselves and in the sober lifestyle. So thank you guys again for being here, for listening, for sharing, for all of it. So today is going to be a little bit of a heart talk. I know a lot of my episodes, I tend to share a lot of the facts, a lot of the science, because that's always helped me. I know that it does help a lot of other people when we can have those tangible, reasons, can't argue with the black and white facts, reasons about why alcohol is bad for us, what we have to gain by being alcohol free. But today I want to do a little bit more of a heart talk, something that I see come up a lot. And I see it more and more, honestly, the longer that I'm in this space. So this space being the sober world. So I started my Instagram account. Honestly, you guys, I started my Instagram account 7 years ago, 8 years ago, way before my own sobriety stuck. I started it during one of my longest sober stints, which I think I had made it about 10 weeks that time, but it didn't stick for good. That is the first of what I call my 4 tries at sobriety before this time, before it has stuck now for almost 3 years. But anyway, so then when I came back to my Instagram account, when I quit drinking for good 3 years ago, so September of 2022, I've had so many of you following since then, or you've followed me at some point in this journey. And a theme that I see happen more often than I wish it would, because it's just heartbreaking, but I see it and I want to talk about it because I remember it, because I lived it. And so when I share my story through this lens, I think that a lot of you are hopefully going to have a moment where you're going to be like, oh, shit, she's talking about me. She's calling me out. I hope that this is a conversation that maybe doesn't scare you, doesn't frighten you, doesn't make you feel like, oh my God, I have to quit drinking. This panicky, I have to do something. But I hope that it lands for you in a way that is maybe more like the wake-up call that you've been waiting for. Maybe it's the thing that can kind of help everything click and be like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I still giving alcohol more chances? Why am I waiting for it to get worse? Because that's really what this conversation is going to be about today. Why do so many of us wait for our drinking to get worse? Why do we wait for life to hand us a situation that shines a spotlight on how terrible our drinking is and usually actually causes our drinking to get worse before we're finally ready to say, okay, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live this way anymore. So I'm going to just dive in. What I see so often, you guys, and one of the most worrying things actually that I see among people that are trying to quit drinking, people that continue to keep trying to like bargain with alcohol and even bargain with sobriety, meaning like come at it from the stream of mind of like, well, if I just get a good reset, right? We do things like a dry month or even maybe a dry 90 days, maybe even longer than that. And we're still coming at this from the framework of if I can just like reset my behaviors and my habits, then I'll be okay. Then I'll be able to be a normal drinker. Then I'll be able to moderate. Then I'll be able to control it. Then it like we think we can pull ourselves back from this danger zone, so to speak, right? Where we'll be in control again instead of alcohol being in control. Whatever your line of thought is, it comes from this underlying frame of mind that you have time to figure this out. Meaning you have time to like figure out your drinking. Like things aren't that bad yet. Your drinking isn't that bad. Maybe you haven't had a DUI. You're not destroying your marriage. You haven't lost a job. You haven't hurt somebody you love or really hurt yourself in like a big physical, everybody notices kind of way. So you think that you have time. You think that you still have plenty of opportunities to get your shit together and to figure this out. But the truth is, what I've experienced personally and what so many, like countless other people have experienced is that life has a way of figuring this out for you. Life has a way of deciding for you. If you don't get your house in order as soon as you realize that alcohol is causing you problems, meaning if you're still giving away any space in your mind, in your life to alcohol, if you still believe that alcohol is necessary or even just beneficial to help you relax, to help you handle stress, to help you celebrate, to help you connect with people you love, to help you cope either with current stresses or with previous traumas or anything. When life gets harder, and I mean when life gets harder, not if, because you guys, the older I get, the more I know for a fact that life is always going to continue to get harder in some ways, okay? That is when you are going to find yourself diving headfirst into a drinking problem because you didn't address it as soon as you became aware of it, because you kept telling yourself, I have time to figure this out, or it's not that bad yet. When life gets harder, you're going to realize that you don't have a choice anymore because you're going to see how actually addicted you are. And then you're going to be like so many of us and find yourself looking around being like, holy shit, when did this happen to me? When did I become this person that can't quit drinking, that doesn't know how to make it more than a day or two, that is maybe even now hiding alcohol in my house? I'm lying to people I love about it. Because for years we told ourselves that it wasn't that bad. I've got time to figure it out. I deserve this drinking. Look at all these other things that are still good about me, right? Because I mean, that was me. I have a great marriage. I am a homeschool mom. I'm a special needs mom. I've ran a successful business from home for 15 years, did all of these things while becoming an active alcoholic and telling myself that my drinking wasn't that bad. I have time to figure it out because I hadn't had a DUI. I wasn't like burning my life down from the outside. It was a secret problem in my head, right? Inside of me. So I kept telling myself, well, I have time. I have time to figure it out. I'm going to wait until things aren't so stressful at work. I'm going to wait until my kids are through this trying time, believing that there's this magical space and time when having kids is not chaotic and stressful. That's another one. Sorry to burst your bubble, you guys, but that time doesn't really ever arrive. So we'll come back to that one though. But what happens is when you exist in this space where you're telling yourself you'll figure it out, you'll figure out your drinking issue at some other point when life is less stressful, when the kids get older, or even after things like after that big birthday party, after that anniversary celebration, after that vacation, after that wedding, then life is life. And all of a sudden, boom, you guys, we get slammed with something. Like somebody loses a job. Maybe you or your spouse lose a job. Somebody gets diagnosed with something. Somebody you love, somebody in your house gets diagnosed. It could be a kid getting diagnosed with a learning disability or something worse. It could be a partner or family member getting diagnosed with cancer or something life-altering like that. Somebody dies. All of a sudden, you guys, you realize that you have no other coping mechanism. or very few coping mechanisms besides drinking. And then all of a sudden, it's not so unreasonable to do things that you maybe never thought you would be the person doing, like moving your 7 p.m. glass of wine to 4 p.m. and then 3 p.m. and then 2 p.m. or drinking at 10 a.m. on weekends, or hiding a bottle in your office drawer in your desk because like this is an emergency. This is really hard. I'm just in a really hard season of life. This isn't that big of a deal, you guys, because that's how it started for all of us. I drank for years before I became the woman that was hiding alcohol in my home office. And honestly, now looking back, I can't even remember exactly when, but I do know that it was around the time that life got really lifey for me and what happened to a lot of other women and what we're still seeing the aftermath of and still picking up the pieces of is when 2020 hit. That's the lifey, life pulled the rug out from underneath me kind of moment that took my, I'll figure it out later drinking. Like I knew my drinking wasn't great. I was already drinking most nights of the week. I was drinking maybe a bottle by myself, but I could go 3 or 4 days if I needed to. I wasn't hiding alcohol. I wasn't doing anything like that. And then 2020 hit. And stuff got real scary real fast, right? Everything got chaotic for the whole world in a number of different ways. In our house, that looked like we no longer had care coming in to help with my special needs daughter because services like that were suspended. So I suddenly found myself still working full time because my job still happened. My husband's job still happened. So he was still leaving for work every single day like always. And suddenly I had nobody to help take care of my disabled daughter. So I had to figure out how to work from home still, homeschool her and her sisters with no help. So suddenly it wasn't that unreasonable to keep just a little extra vodka in my home office. Just for the really hard days, just for when I'm like, okay, I was telling myself like, well, look at this. This is a pandemic. The world is losing its mind. We have no idea what news we were going to wake up to the next day. It was okay to drink a little bit more. But I did that because already leading up to that point, you guys, I realized like I didn't have many other coping mechanisms. I didn't know how else to deal with sudden, unexpected, life-altering stress. And if you talk to enough sober people, you'll hear similar versions of this story. It's just the event that's different, right? I know a lot of women that it was the death of a spouse or the death of a parent that kind of sent them over the edge, so to speak. That's when their drinking started to take on a life of its own. That's when they started hiding. That's when it went from 2 glasses a night to 5 glasses a night. That's when they started to gain weight. Their anxiety became insane. They started fighting with their spouse more, whatever. You guys, the point is like, we never know. We never know what is around the bend. We never know what's going to come up next. But I do know, because I've had the privilege of being alive for almost 48 years now, is that life gets lifier the longer we're blessed to live it. Yes, we get this perspective, and there's so many more things now that it's easy for me to be grateful for and find the silver lining in almost everything, but there's just always stuff happening and always stuff popping up. What if you could finally break free from the constant cycle of drinking, quitting, bargaining with yourself, and actually build a life that feels calm and clear and deeply aligned with who you want to be? I created the Alcohol-Free Blueprint for women who are ready to stop trying to moderate and start feeling confident and steady and fully present in their life again. This program isn't just about quitting drinking. It's about taking back your energy and your mindset and your wellness and your freedom. Inside the Blueprint, I'll walk you step by step through the tools, mindset shifts, and support systems that actually help you change for good. You'll learn how to handle cravings, rebuild your habits, feel stronger in your body, and navigate all of life's ups and downs without alcohol. And you'll have full access to over 45 video lessons, journaling prompts, live coaching, and community support. So you never have to do this alone. One of my clients, let's call her Sarah, came to me after years of trying to control her drinking. She told me, I finally feel free. I'm not constantly thinking about drinking anymore. I have energy again, and I actually like myself. And that's just the kind of change we're after. Most of my clients are excited to no longer be a drinker after just 30 days inside the Blueprint. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start living the life alcohol has been holding you back from, head to the link in the show notes or go find me over on Instagram. I would love to help you take this next step. So if you're existing in the space where you're telling yourself that your drinking's not that bad, first of all, the very fact that you're telling yourself it's not that bad means it's that bad. Like if you need somebody to say that point blank to you, I will be the loving friend that's going to say that to you. People that do not have a drinking problem do not even have this internal dialogue, trying to convince themselves that they don't have a problem. That's just a harsh truth. I didn't want to hear that for a long time, but it's true. So if you're telling yourself that you'll figure it out later, you'll figure it out once the kids are older, you'll figure it out maybe once somebody finds a job, maybe somebody's already been laid off, you'll figure it out once you're through the busy season at work, you'll figure it out once the sports season is over and you're not hanging out with all the other parents that are drinking and partying all the time. You'll figure it out after that wedding that you're in. You'll figure it out after that big anniversary vacation coming up. If and when a shoe drops, because life is life, you're going to quickly find out how easy it is to cross all the lines in the sand that we draw around alcohol. All the things where you're saying right now, I would never hide alcohol in my house. I would never sneak drinks and lie to my husband or wife about it. I would never even, have a few drinks and drive under the influence. It's really amazing what we can convince ourselves is okay to do when we're under duress, when we're living in extremely painful, stressful moments that we didn't think would ever happen to us. And so if you are not addressing your issues with alcohol now, the choice to address them is almost going to be taken away from you because something is going to happen sooner or later. You're going to realize that your drinking is not in your control anymore, that you are in fact being controlled by the alcohol. And then it's going to be 1,000 times harder to quit than you feel like it is even right now. And again, I don't say this, you guys, to scare people. I'm not even saying it to be like a Debbie Downer of oh, life is always going to be hard and you never know when these terrible things are going to happen to you. But you guys, the fact of the matter is we never know when hard, terrible things are going to happen to us. Keeping our house in order, keeping our life in order, having healthy coping mechanisms, knowing how to take care of our mind and take care of our body, knowing how to show up despite the chaos happening around us. These are the life skills that we should all be striving for and hopefully passing on to our kids. That's a whole nother conversation. But alcohol robs us of a chance to do all of that because we get lured in by the powerful but very temporary and very, very fleeting quick fix of alcohol. And every time we do that, we are minimizing our own power to actually learn how to cope with life and everything it throws at us, right? And so if you keep telling yourself, but my drinking's not that bad because I'm not hiding it. I can even maybe right now you're making it the whole week and you only drink on weekends, even though in your head, it's because you are mentally counting down every single day and every single hour until Friday night when it's okay to drink. You're not in control. Alcohol's in control. Just because you're not drinking during the week yet doesn't mean that it's not coming. Because you're telling yourself that it's once the kids aren't, young, toddler, screaming, busy, then it will be easier. That's just not true. It's not how it goes, you guys. Because all of this time that you think you're in control, but still drinking. Every time you take a drink, every single day that you do drink, you are giving alcohol control because it is a chemically addictive drug. It does not care what story you're telling yourself or what story you're telling other people. Alcohol does not give a shit if you're saying, but, oh, this is really hard because my twins are 3 years old and it's loud and it's crazy and it's chaotic. Well, okay, but alcohol is an addictive drug. If you keep turning to it, you are going to get addicted whether you want to or not. And I say that because, you guys, that was one of the hardest, most gut-wrenching truths for me to acknowledge and then accept and then work through. Because I wanted to keep clinging to my story of but wait, this can't happen to women like me. You guys, because all while I was becoming an alcoholic, I was also a certified holistic nutritionist, a certified holistic wellness coach. My husband's a chiropractor. We've literally built our lives around teaching people healthy habits for the past 20 years. And I became an alcoholic through all of that because we had a special needs daughter. I didn't learn how to manage my stress and deal with trauma. So I kept drinking, not fully understanding that alcohol is a chemically addictive drug. And the more I turned to it, the more my brain needed it, not wanted it, but needed it. And so then fast forward and the pandemic hits and I find myself being a woman who's now hiding alcohol in my house, looking around thinking, what the hell happened? When did I become this person? How did I get here? Because I know better than this, but I can't stop it. I don't know what to do. It was excruciating to try to go more than a day without drinking, let alone only drink on weekends. All these ideas my husband had because it's super easy for him to just have one drink and be done, or go days and weeks and months without drinking because he's not an alcoholic. Alcohol doesn't do to his brain what it does to my brain. So you can know all of these things. You can have the best laid plans in your head. But if you continue to turn to alcohol for all of the good and bad situations in your life, if you use it every time that you're celebrating and having fun, if you use it every time you're stressed and need to numb out and relax, if you're using it for everything big and little in between, sooner or later, it is not going to be a choice anymore. Not because you are weak, not because you're dumb, not because you don't know better, but because that is just what alcohol does. It is a chemically addictive drug, and it can and will get the best of anyone if you give it enough time. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. It doesn't matter what we want, and it doesn't matter if we think that we know better, and it doesn't matter if we think that we're in control. If we keep giving alcohol chances, it's just a matter of time. And so, like I said, I bring this up. I want to talk about this because what I see time and time again is women, men, people that are still they're trying to bargain with alcohol. They're trying to reason their way through a relationship with an addictive drug, saying, like, well, I'll figure it out when life gets easier. Things will slow down. Things will settle down. I'll figure it out. That naivety completely disregards the fact that alcohol is an addictive drug. You can't reason with chemistry. You can't logic your way out of the chemical reaction that's happening in your brain when you consistently turn to something that is altering the way your brain works, right? So I'm here to tell you that, like, whatever the scenario is that you're telling yourself, right? I hear all of these so often. It's, you have young kids and it's stressful and it's chaotic and it's noisy and you're touched out and you're overwhelmed. I'm here to tell you that the next stage is still chaotic and stressful. It's different. It shows up differently, but it's still chaotic and stressful. If your kids are older and getting ready to leave and you're facing like being an empty nester and you're sad and you're anxious about it. And I'm here to tell you, though, it's not going to get any easier if you don't face those feelings and face those emotions. If you deal with that anxiety by just diving into the bottle, you're not going to have a choice but to keep diving into the bottle pretty soon if you don't learn how to manage and face those emotions. If all of your friends drink and you're worried that you're going to be lonely and you're going to be left out and you're going to be bored if you quit drinking, so you just keep drinking, sooner or later, you're not going to have a choice. And I'm here to tell you the irony is that you're actually going to find yourself probably feeling really lonely and isolated because drinking is going to take over. It's not going to be something you're choosing to do anymore. It's going to be something you have to do. And then it's almost not going to matter what your friends are doing or what's going on around you, what your kids are doing. The more time you give to alcohol, the more time alcohol is going to begin to take in every way, like every way, big and small. So I'm sharing this because I would just want you guys to know that, like, I get it. Oh, you guys, I remember. And I've been reflecting a lot and really just getting deep into this reflection and these feels as I come up on my 3-year sober anniversary. Gosh, it might actually be, I'm thinking by the time this airs, I think this is going to air on my 3-year sober anniversary, now that I think about it. So as you guys are listening to this, I am celebrating 3 years sober. But I've been reflecting a lot, and I remember how scary it was to think about doing life without alcohol. All of the things, like how was I going to handle stress? How was I going to celebrate? How was I going to do vacations and weddings and date night and couples nights and all of it. How I was so afraid of what it was going to be like to have to do all of those things without a drink. But I'm here to tell you, as somebody who was in that fear, who lived in that fear for years, and now somebody that's 3 years sober, if you keep telling yourself that you'll figure it out when things settle down, things are never going to settle down. Life is going to force you to figure it out sooner or later. And that fear of how am I going to do life without alcohol, it honestly, if you really sit and think about it, you guys, and get honest in a loving way with yourself, it's nowhere near as scary as admitting and living with the fact that you can't imagine doing life without a drink in your hand. It's not as scary. Nothing is as scary as your reality being that you are incapable of handling life without alcohol. You guys, that is terrifying. This is an actual addictive drug that kills people every single day. Acknowledging that, realizing that it is so much worse to be giving your power away to alcohol for maybe the rest of your life than to just face figuring it out without alcohol. Because I promise you can figure it out. That's the whole point. Like, take it from me. Take it from someone who I gave alcohol decades of my life, you guys. I had my first drink when I was 15. I drank through high school. I drank through college. I was a normal drinker for a long time until I wasn't. And once you cross that line into not being a normal drinker, you cannot go back. I bargained with alcohol for years. I kept telling myself I'll figure it out for years. And then the stressful event, for me, it was the pandemic. For me, it was 2020. Ripped the rug right out from underneath me. And I very quickly became a woman that was hiding alcohol in my house. I was lying to my husband and kids about it. I was sneaking drinks. I was rationalizing insane behavior to keep drinking. Because while I was a normal drinker for a long time, what I was really doing was making alcohol the only tool I had to relax, to celebrate, to have fun, to unwind. And so when life got really hard and life got really lifey, I didn't know what else to do. I was incapable almost of doing anything else. So I drank and I drank more and I kept drinking more until I hit my rock bottom, until I hit a rock bottom sufficient enough for me to be like, I do not want to live this way anymore. So if you're telling yourself you're going to figure it out later, life is going to figure it out for you. And you can either wait for that to happen or you can just kind of like snap out of it now. Take control now. You're playing with fire the longer you give alcohol this control over you. There's never been a better time to just say, you know what? Alcohol's got me and I don't want to live this way anymore. You're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. And there's a billion ways to get sober. Gone are the days of having to declare yourself an alcoholic and be miserable for the rest of your life. You don't have to do it that way. You don't have to label yourself anything. You can try 10, 20, 50 different things, different ways to get support to build your life in a way that you don't even want to drink anymore, you guys, because that's the beautiful thing. That's the point that I want to take, maybe that I hope you guys take from all of this, is it is possible to quit drinking and not even miss it. I do not miss alcohol. I do not wish that I could still drink. I do not sit in Jones for it. I do not feel left out. I do not think like, man, I really miss getting wasted on Friday nights and then going to bed in my clothes with my contacts in, waking up the next morning, not remembering what I said to my kids and my husband, or even the years before it got that bad. You guys, I'm fine that alcohol is in my past. I do not miss drinking. So getting sober is not like being miserable and bored and left out for the rest of your life. It can be the best years of your life if you let it be. But I'm just here to tell you, if you're telling yourself that your drinking's not that bad, if you're telling yourself that you'll figure it out once things settle down, you are playing with fire. Alcohol is always going to win, sooner or later. Sooner or later, it's going to win. So it's up to you if you're going to wait and let it get worse and let it get that bad, or if you're just going to do something about it now. So I hope that you choose to do something about it now. I hope that you realize that life can be incredible without alcohol. Whatever you've been through in the past, whatever you're afraid of right now, you can figure it out. And you don't have to figure it out alone. That's the beautiful thing. You don't have to figure it out alone. You're probably a hell of a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. And there's like such a beautiful, peaceful, ease-filled life out there waiting for you that alcohol doesn't have any place in. Because if I can figure it out, you guys, if I can go from hiding alcohol all over my house, lying to my kids and husband about it, drinking almost 2 bottles of wine a night, hiding vodka in my office, in purses, in my underwear drawer, to now, like not even missing it. You couldn't pay me to drink alcohol right now. You really couldn't. If I can do that, you guys, I think you can do it too. So I'm going to finish this on that note, you guys. I want to thank you again for hanging out with me. If this landed for you, if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. I always love your guys' DMs over on Instagram. Check my links in the show notes. Come find me, send me a message. I'd love to connect and chat. And I really thank you guys for being here. I'll be back next week with another episode.